Hello and welcome to the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you, everybody?
That's my dad. Dad, this is our first podcast in the new year, 2022. We're kicking it off.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. We're kicking it off in an angry way, though, everybody. We may seem happy, but we are talking about the top 10 players in current MLB players that kind of get, the most angry reaction out of fans, other players. We're talking about the top 10 most hated active players. And what we mean by active, Dad, because obviously the past few years in baseball and right now with the lockout, it's a little strange. If you played in 2021 or were on a contract in 2021, that's how we're counting active. If someone's retired since then or someone's now a free agent, that's what we mean by an active player. So
there was an easy top 10. David Letterman should be very, very happy with us. But yeah, I think most of these people have irked fans and teammates along the way.
Yeah. So what we take into account here is fan/media kind of views on these players, other players, their teammates, their coaches, management, ownership, a little bit of it, their agents, but obviously they make money. A small factor is a personal view on the player as well. That could kind of up, maybe a player from 6 to 5 for us. But for example, I think everyone that watches this podcast knows I do not like Anthony Rizzo. He's not on my top 10 list. I think he's well liked, at least more than these 10 players I'm about to say, more so than others. So I'm not gonna.
Will you root for him if he's part of the Red Sox?
No, I'm not gonna root for Anthony Rizzo my entire life. Never gonna own his shirt or jersey or anything like that. If he throws me a foul ball or I catch a foul ball, I'm gonna give it to somebody else. So he won't be on here, so no more Rizzo or Brizzo bashing. So we're going to start from the bottom. All right, Drake, since we're shouting out all the celebrities, David Letterman. Start from the bottom, and then we're going to get to number 1. We'll kind of go back and forth here, Dad. I want to hear your number 10 first.
You ready?
Yeah.
Kevin Kiermaier, Tampa Bay. Can't stand him because he's a ball hog.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really disliked is how a ball gets hit to left center, right center. He'll call off left fielder, right fielder, so he can either make the catch or make the throw. And even though the other person may have a better angle, he'll call him off. I dislike that.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to Little League, by the way.
Yes, I'm on there for Kevin Kiermaier. He's even higher on my list, so I'll add a little bit to him as well. Chances we may, obviously going to have some similar names here. If we end up on the same exact position or number ranking, I think that would be very interesting, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
But my number 10 is Robinson Cano. He may not be on your list.
He is.
Okay. So he he's one of those players that didn't play in 2021, but he's under contract. I think he's still suspended. Multiple steroid, positive tests now. As a Yankee, was one of the best second baseman, if not ever, at least offensively.
Yeah. The darling of Home Run Derby at 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, the darling of Home Run Derby about a decade ago with his dad. But really due to the steroids things and obviously being in New York, especially the Mets, I mean, that's a ton of wasted money, wasted talent. Who knows what's going to happen with him in 2022 with baseball being locked out. I haven't really heard anything about Cano. But him using steroids, a.k.a. cheating, has earned him a spot on this top 10 most hated list. 9, Dad? You want me to go? What do you want to go?
Whatever you feel better with. I'm
you
ready.
go. Let's just keep going. Ping pong.
Alec Bregman.
Bregman.
Bregman. Oh, Bregman. I'm sorry.
I was like, who's Alec Bergman? Is this the new rookie?
I was doing Seinfeld.
Yeah.
No. Alec, I think, is probably the most despised member of the Astros. I didn't go to a lot of Astros about the cheating scandal. He is my only Astro on this list.
Interesting.
I just think that he's a little cocky, and I think what he does, he's a very good ball player, but I think his kind of attitude towards fans and the other team and how he shows his emotion makes him disliked by a whole bunch of folks. I think he could need to chill with that cockiness a little bit.
I have several Astros on my list, and Bregman's quite high up on my list, so we'll get to him in a little bit as well. Number 9 for me is Amir Garrett. Mm-hmm. I like Amir Garrett, so this is where obviously the personal thing didn't really impact as much, but Amir Garrett loves to fight. And his personality, I mean, he's got into it with Javi Baez. He's got it into it literally with the whole Pittsburgh Pirates team.
And a Cubs team.
And he's very arrogant. I mean, honestly, his arrogance reminds me a lot of Jonathan Papelbon, both as a reliever closer role. And he's not well liked really by anyone outside of the Cincinnati organization. He's thrown at players. He's fought a lot of players. Again, all these players are really talented. They're, again, a professional athlete. But I don't think Amir Garrett's too well liked in baseball.
I agree. He made my list way up there.
Okay, wow. Okay, we'll see where that lands. 8, Dad?
Justin Verlander.
Wow, first one's not on my list at all. Tell me why Verlander's so hated.
He didn't support his teammates last year when he was on, DL and everything, and his teammates had a good bit to say about Justin, and they really despised the fact that once he got hurt, he just went home, and he could have hung around, didn't even come around for the playoffs or anything like that. That tells me he's not well liked by his teammates, and I think that he has a little of that superstar attitude with him as well. But not supporting your teammates is something that got ingrained within me during my childhood. I disliked that part of it. He could have made trips to Houston to support people, get his rehab, whatever, and he chose not to. I just thought that was a unclassy move.
Interesting. I know a lot of male fans may dislike Justin because of he's married to Kate Upton, a little jealousy there. But I like Verlander. I think he makes some good points, but he's not on my top 10. Number 8 is Kevin Kiermaier here. Everything that my dad said is absolutely accurate. I thought his ego put him above Cano and Garrett. I also really don't like Kevin Kiermaier, so this is where...
Tell him about Baltimore.
This is the Navy game?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So there was a Navy game where it's literally hundreds of midshipmen were in center field, and they were just yelling at Kevin all day, all game. They were doing the same thing to the Orioles center fielder. The Orioles center fielder was having a good time. Kevin Kiermaier didn't like it too much.
No, he did not. He was not a fan.
Which is, these are our servicemen and women. So I don't know. Kevin Kiermaier is just egotistical. I don't think he's the best center fielder. Definitely not offensively and not defensively. He's got a few Gold Gloves. I just think the arrogance does not match the talent. Someone on this list that we'll get to in a little bit, like Bryce Harper, the arrogance does match the talent, and people still don't like Bryce. But Kevin Kiermaier, it's just his arrogance supersedes his talent.
Is it jealousy with Bryce, or is
I think that there is people on this list that I'll get to. Bryce is my next one. I'm not trying to, get into that in a little bit. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. But
okay.
I like Bryce too. But
okay.
Go ahead.
Want to do 7?
Yeah, you go 7.
Yadier Molina.
Yadier Molina, really?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why people don't like Yadi.
He cheats.
With a sticky chest plate thing?
He thinks that he's the God's gift to, the baseball because he's a fine catcher. I'm sure he may, be in the Hall of Fame one day, 20 years with the same organization. But when that little pitch hit the dirt, bounced up and stuck to his chest protector, I went, oh, that's interesting. How is the ball going to stick to that? So I'm thinking Yadi, I think, does a few things to doctor the baseball and help his pitching staff. Some are not legal, but I think it goes back to Cubs Cardinals, and he's been in a few little heated discussions with Cubs and other players. I know he's a great catcher, but I just don't like the stickiness of his chest protector and a little bit of cheating. So didn't like that.
I have, I think, similar reactions to Yadi and Justin. I think it's maybe the team who's facing him, but I don't know. I think Yadi really represents his country well. I think for Spanish-speaking players, he's probably one of the biggest role models we have in baseball, at least for other players to look up to. And I also think if you cross Yadier Molina and you're from the islands, you're not going to go really far in your career. So I don't know. I think obviously Yadi is a Hall of Famer for me. So he's not on my list.
That's fine.
Yeah. So 7. I mean, again, so far, have you had all? Eventually, gonna have. I know you have. We have Kevin. You said you're gonna have Amir in common. Did Cano make your list?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, Bryce Harper 7 for me.
Okay.
I kind of alluded to that a couple minutes ago. I like Bryce Harper a whole lot. When he first came up, just like Manny Machado, I didn't like either one of them because I thought they were very egotistical for being so young. Harper, for me, has humbled himself. He's been asked directly who's the best player in baseball. He said Mike Trout, and he knows that Trout is better than him. And I think it's humbled him a little bit. I think he handled losing, not being on the Nationals when they were on the 2019 World Series trip, and it was a year after they departed from Bryce, or Bryce departed from them. Excuse me. I think he handled that well. He was really happy for him. There wasn't really any jealousy. I think a lot of fans hate him because of how good he is. Bryce Harper, another future Hall of Famer. Him and Mike Trout, hopefully they came in together. Hopefully they retire at the same year and they can be in the same Hall of Fame class. He's a phenomenal player, multiple MVPs. If you dislike him, maybe it's because of his attitude early on, some of the clothes he's wore, some of the attitudes, approaches when he looks at home runs. He flips his bat.
Papelbon, that little,
him and Papelbon had a fight.
Yeah, they didn't look good.
Again, young Harper, I get it. I think Harper's matured enough.
Yes.
And I think he's almost old enough to be considered like a role model. And I actually am hopeful that he falls off this list eventually.
He didn't make my list.
Good. I just know a lot of people hate Harper.
And I think he picked the right ballpark to sign a long-term deal with, because being a pull hitter, he will always do well in that park. So I think that was a good choice for him. You know, to have just the year that he had and everything was phenomenal. So I think he's grown up, and I think he's getting much better with how he handles the media and everything else.
Good.
Yeah.
Number
6 is near and dear to us. Chris Davis.
Okay, I guess because he was under contract for last year. Yeah, keep going. I want to hear more about this.
Chris Davis stole money from the Orioles for 5 years.
Yeah, they didn't steal it. The Orioles were just dumb enough to give it to him. But I see why you hate him. Yeah, or certain fans.
Correct. I think if you really look at, he should have realized he wasn't going to get better, but probably 2 or 3 years ago. And if all the adjustments and all that stuff, and they tried to have patience with him, he got a little dugout argument with the manager of the Orioles, I think 2 years ago. He lost it. I think when he was really good, he had some chemical assistance to help him see the ball better and everything else. And then once he got off of that, he was never, ever the same. So it took him a long time to bow out of baseball. But in the meantime, he probably should have bowed out earlier. And he hit a home run ball going right to my son's hands, and the guy in front of him stole it.
It's not Chris Davis's fault.
Chris Davis owes my son a baseball.
He hit the guy in front of us, held up his kid like the Lion King, and he got his glove went physically into mine. That was like a decade ago.
Yes, but he still owes my son baseball.
Anyways, I'm sure. I will say one thing about Chris.
So it's not personal.
I will say one thing about Chris Davis, that he retired with still some years on his contract. So in a way, I think you're right. I think obviously he was the most overpaid player in baseball for 3 or 4 years. But him cutting that early, retiring, and in theory giving that money back to the Orioles so they can just spend on a guy hitting like $120. I think you leave with almost like a good taste in your mouth with Chris Davis, and he did the right thing for Baltimore. Hopefully they can spend that money more than so just on, stadium, I don't want to say improvements.
They just signed 24 international free agents. So that could have been the one to go that way. First time they've really been very active in the international market.
So we'll see. I think, Chris Davis being no longer active, this is the last time he'd be on this list if we did this, every year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
6 for me is also an Oriole, a former Oriole here, Manny Machado.
Oh, way too low.
So, Manny Machado, for me, is someone I've always rooted against, despite living in Baltimore.
Going back to Bowie Bay Sox.
I rooted against him in the minors, like first year drafted. I just thought he was egotistical from the jump, very similar to Bryce Harper. And for me, he has not changed, unlike how Harper has. I think him playing with the Dodgers and in my opinion, and also the Orioles effectively ending Dustin Pedroia's career.
That's biggie.
I think he's a dirty player. I think he's not as good as his contract says he is. He does not deserve to be in the Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. Like, those 3 names shouldn't be in the same conversation. They're all superstars. 2 are Hall of Famers.
Nice point, by the way. Well said.
Thank you.
Well said.
I do think Manny is finally, and we saw a little fight, and you can kind of interpret the Fernando Tatis Machado fight as either was that a fight, was that a teachable moment that Manny was trying to be a older, veteran player. I think he's having some severe trouble with not being the superstar of that team. He's not. If we look at some of the pitching staff, who knows what the Padres will do this year. Some of the big names on their offense, Tatis obviously is numero uno, but there's a lot of super talented players on that team. Jake Cronenworth is becoming a star. So we'll see kind of like if 4 or 5 years the Padres are trying to do what they're trying to do with Eric Hosmer and Will Myers to try to trade them off if they're going to do the same thing to Manny Machado's contract. So he's not the star as he was on the Orioles, and I think it's getting to his head. I still don't think he's liked around baseball. I don't see him hanging out with a lot of players.
You could go on and on.
I could. I'm going to stop, though. I'm sure you have more to say if he's higher up on your list.
Yes,
so
he
what's
is.
what number 5? What's number 5?
Josh Donaldson.
That's my 5! We got the same match! All right, so we'll go at this as a team approach. You say stuff, go ahead.
I think it's great that you read everything about Josh from his teammates' point of view.
Yes.
And he is not well liked in the locker room, and he's very standoffish. He's not a team guy, and it's all about him, and his stats and everything else. And, I was raised that when you play in a team environment, it's about the team, and he is anti-team. So I think his actions speak louder than words, and I think by him being aloof, non-approachable, I think his teammates have said everything you need to know about they really don't like playing with him.
Mm-hmm. I shout out here, we are at Pastime Podcast _ on Twitter. Josh Donaldson's very active on Twitter for, in my opinion, an active ball player. I get if you're coming up and you're trying to get your name out there, etc. on Twitter, or your retirement and trying to give almost like commentary towards games or players. I kind of get that. I think if you're in the middle of your season, don't be on Twitter tweeting at other pitchers or other players. Josh Donaldson gets in Twitter fights with people. There's a lot of pitchers that don't like him, and he gets thrown at accordingly. He is a bad teammate. If you kind of interview people or hear from people that were his former teammates, not so much his current Twins, but that are no longer on the same team as Josh, they seem to all have had a problem with him. How he acts in the locker room, how he acts on the field, showboat mentality, how he thinks he is the best player on that team. I don't think Josh Donaldson's ever been the best player on any of his teams that he's been a part of.
I agree.
He's a great player. He's an all-star. I can't take that away from him.
But not a great teammate.
But a really bad teammate. So yeah, we're equal on that one. Dad, why don't you take us to 4 then?
Robinson Cano.
Okay, tell me your Cano stuff.
I don't like him.
So personal.
Well, I think, he has such a great, 2 years with the home run derby and being a darling of everything and having his dad throw, BP to him and everything. And then I think he got a little big-headed. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, he got hurt and steroids and all that stuff. And since then, I don't think he's had anything to brag about for 5 years. If my memory is correct, I just don't think he's a great teammate either. And he stays away from his teams and everything else. He doesn't contribute anything and having a mega contract.
I don't think I've watched a game live where he's been in a Mets uniform. I think he's played enough. There's highlights. It wasn't great really on the Mariners either. I know they put a big contract on him as well, and very similar to a lot of the Hall of Fame people on the ballot this year. You look at just their time with one team, yeah, maybe that person's a Hall of Famer. But now with the if Robinson Cano retired in like 2015, we might have a case for him to be in the Hall of Fame. Only about a 10-year career or something like that, but I think he'd get votes.
Yeah, great second baseman.
Yeah, and now it's like there's more. It's almost like the Kurt Schilling effect, where now you're like, I'm finding reasons to not vote for him. But yeah, I think great points, Dad. Robinson Cano, I don't know how many years are left on his contract, but he is probably going to get booed in New York, especially since they boo their fans. So, yeah. Yeah,
they expect a lot, and, if he doesn't come through and he grounds in a double play or strikes out the bases loaded, he's going to hear it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Well, Dad, I'm going to go 3 Astros in a row, so I'm very curious what you think the 3 will be. I'm going to start with Jose Altuve. Now, the reason why is I think out of the 3 I'm going to list, he is actually the best player, because I think before the cheating scandal, I think his average is, the fact that his height, his size, and he's as good as he is really impressive. And I liked Jose Altuve in 2015. The 2019, when we hear about the 2017 scandal, it's like, which one do you hate the most? Altuve, Bregman, and Correa all handled the accusations poorly. Just didn't apologize. I actually appreciate A-Rod's words with like, hey, when I cheated, I fessed up to it. I told people what I did, and I apologized. These players did not. And he's very against the Astros, and I think that's genuine. Out of the three, again, I think he's the most talented, and I think they all did cheat. I think there's not that tattoo thing. I think Altuve did have some sort of buzzer on him that one day where he hit that deep home run. He's like, "Don't take off my jersey. I just got a tattoo." Every player in baseball is like, I don't care if you're bleeding profusely. You just hit a walk-off homer. You let your teammates do what they want to you. But he's 4. It's a really tight 2-3-4. But just because I think he's a little bit better as a genuine baseball player, I put him as 4.
I'm with you. And being that he's an undersized baseball player and to do the things that he does, it says a lot. And he's very consistent. Very consistent. So I'm with you. Yeah. I didn't know which way to go with the Astros, so I just did one, and then there were so many other candidates. I figured I'd go with the other candidates.
Totally fine.
All right. You want my 3?
Yeah, I want to hear 3.
Amir Garrett.
Amir Garrett is podium
3.
for you. Okay.
I don't like him.
Because he's a Cubs guy.
That is true.
It plays a factor.
Yeah, and I think he'll go out of his way to start a fight.
Yeah.
Him and Javi don't like each other. And I think in a fight, Javi would be the better one.
Let him go. I'll pay for that. Yeah.
That would be pretty good. Because, Javi used to be a boxer, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, in Puerto Rico.
Javi's smaller than Amir, though, right?
Yeah, but if you know how to box.
I know. So,
I know. And then I think he was in Golden Gloves. But anyway, I think he's gone out of his way to go after, people on the other team, especially the Pirates and the Cubs. I think he's got a really bad temper. He throws hard, but at the same time, I really believe that, you don't need to be a headhunter, in the major leagues. And he throws high. When he hits somebody, it's not in the thigh or anything else. It's upper body, which I'm not a fan of either. But I just think he has a bad temper, and he seems to be a very aggressive player when it comes to starting fights. So I don't like him for a lot of reasons, and what you mentioned with the Cubs was right up there.
My third, my bronze asshole, is Alex Bregman. Again, I said I'm going to go with all Astros. Obviously, Correa is going to be my number 2. Bregman, that interview, when him and Altuve were being interviewed afterwards, I just thought Bregman's attitude, his laissez-fairness, I don't care about this, it really bothers me. His numbers, especially, if we looked at the home and the away thing, was pretty bad. We look at his numbers sort of after the scandal. Great third baseman. I just think he was great for a certain amount of those years, especially some of those, contract years, because of the cheating, because of the advantage they
Didn't
had.
have a great World Series this year, did he?
Correct. And again, the Astros are still a good team. I think they've repaired themselves from it and are still a talented organization. A lot of the players that were in this, this playoffs, this World Series this year, were not on the 2017 team. But I do think Bregman benefited some of the most from that. Obviously, there's a few other players that are now no longer in baseball that really benefited as well. But the attitude, I can't ignore the Astros cheating scandal, and I think if you're surveying the general populace of baseball fans, they might just go 1, 2, 3 with these Astros players because of the superstars and the attitudes. So Bregman's 3 for me. Again, I'm really open to a conversation. How do you rank those 2, 3, 4? I do think there will be someone that tops them all. And we both haven't said his name yet, so hopefully we have that coming up. So
I know who it is.
So Bregman's my 3rd.
Yep. I get number 2.
You get number 2.
And you're number 1.
Oh, really?
Trevor Bauer.
Why is he your 2? I'm really curious who your 1's going to be.
Because I can't stand either one of them. and one's personal.
Yeah, sure.
But Trevor needs help. Who knows if he'll ever pitch again in the major leagues. I think right now it's he wants to come back to the Dodgers, and Dodgers don't want any part of him. He's been a space cadet ever since he got out of college.
Yeah.
Teams have had a hard time dealing with him. He's quick to be on a trading block every time he's been with a team, and now with there's still in court about the young lady and all those things. But just on the baseball field itself, he's a horrible teammate, selfish as can be. And I think he has some mental imbalance. He's not good for baseball. What he did with Francona and threw the ball.
And he did. He threw it over center field. It's a good arm.
But I mean, it's
Tito, oh my
he's a
God.
little imbalanced, and that's probably the most polite way of saying it. But I have no room for a player like that. Has talent, but I think he's just misguided, and I don't know if he'll ever play again in the major leagues.
Yeah, he will be my one, and I am very excited because I'll let you really go off about your one, and I'll go off about Trevor in a second. Two is Carlos Correa. Correa for me, and maybe because he's like 6'4", 6'5", or whatever he is, the fact that thinks he's better than Jeter pushes him over the edge for me in that group of three. Again, pick your Astro to dislike on the 2017 team. If we did this list in June, I think Correa could have been my 4. And Bregman and Altuve were the 2 and 3. Carlos Correa not only was a part of that cheating scandal, obviously benefited from it, but when he hit free agency this year, the Yankees are looking for a shortstop. There's no better shortstop in Yankee history than Derek Jeter. There's just fans won't.
Maybe in baseball,
right? There's certain players you can't talk bad about, and Derek Jeter's on that list. Carlos Correa decided, you know what, Derek Jeter wasn't that good of a shortstop, effectively canceling his possibility of playing in a Yankee uniform. I just can never see the Yankees going after him. I don't think their fans would like it. Yankee fans, if you're listening to this, Yankee fans, you're some of the most loyal people, and you've been without a championship for you all way too long. You won't be too happy about Carlos Correa. You don't want him to win as a Yankee almost. The comments on Jeter, he's obviously not going to be a Marlin forever. So it's just, those comments were unwarranted. I don't know why he decided to talk about Jeter.
Be respectful.
In the way he did. Even if you dislike a legend, just say he was a great player. You don't have to say anything else. You got to have some media training on how to do this. But Carlos Correa's attitude, the fact that he thinks he's better than Lindor, he wants more than Lindor's number, when more like Trevor Story's numbers are more comparable to Correa.
And now he has a new agent.
Right, now he's with Scott Boras, who is the king of all assholes. So it makes sense to me. I was surprised he wasn't a Boras client until recently. So
that means he's not going to budge on his contract demands.
Yeah. So good luck, buddy. I think you are a talented shortstop. Even not being aided by any trash cans. But I just don't like your personality, and I don't think baseball likes your personality either. I think you're toxic for the next team you come up to, and I don't know how well your jerseys sell with the Jeter comments.
See, the other thing to think about how many shortstops were signed and he wasn't. Mm-hmm. So they had a run on shortstops, and he wasn't. He didn't get a solid bid.
Oh yeah. So, I'd much rather have Seager on my team.
Or Hoppy.
Well, I'm just saying, if Seager money is probably more closer to Correa money, I'd much rather have Corey.
Yeah. But that tells you something about baseball execs and everything else.
Yeah. So go off about your number 1.
The man I can't stand ya, is Manny Machado.
I figured.
The great story. Bowie Bay Sox. Manny was 19 years old.
He was 20 or 21.
Okay.
He's my age. Manny is same year as me.
Okay. Whatever he was, my wonderful son, he said, Manny's going over 4. And I think he got a little bloop single or whatever.
He went 1 for 5.
1 for 5. Okay, there you go. but you have no memory of it.
I have exact memory of it because I had money on the game.
But anyway, Manny, the memory that I have of Manny is taking Dustin Pedroia out in Boston with a high leg kick that took out his knee, and Dustin never came back from that injury. Totally unwarranted. He did not have to do that. He didn't have to go slide with spikes up.
And as a middle infielder, he should know that.
Correct. And somebody who deserves the respect and admiration of Dustin to go in purposely to go high spikes, take out his knee, ended his career, basically. Dirty player. And then in the one of the games when he was with the Dodgers, he stepped on the heel of somebody else purposely. So there's been examples of him along the way trying to hurt other players and ruin their career. To me, that is the worst thing a player can do, is so disrespectful. athletes have 12 to 13-year shelf life, if that. Why would you?
And that's the best athletes, in my opinion.
Why would you take a livelihood away from somebody and just a cheap shot? And it's not one example, two examples. It's multiple examples of him being a horrible player. And then with San Diego, with Tatis, he just has example after example. And then the other story, when I think you know the story as well, when those guys were in the clubhouse of the Orioles, him, Adam Jones, whatever, they had special diets. They couldn't eat what the other players had because
He was not nice to Orioles staff. We do know that verbatim. We used
Correct.
to be friends with a few higher level staff members.
Yeah, and the chef, we got to know the chef a little bit, and he said that when he mentioned the players he couldn't stand, Manny was at the top of that list. And, what a prima donna and everything else. It was an easy choice. Number one, hated ball player. And I could go on and on, but I'll stop.
It's all good. I appreciate the riff. That's sort of why, I talked a little less about the 8, 9, 10 guys. All these players can deserve 10 minutes of deep thing. I looked up the year, but that Pedroia Machado slide, because I was kind of uncertain. It's 2017. So that's still pretty recent, especially since we've had some not stable baseball
And all I have to do
seasons.
is watch the replay. Totally unwarranted.
Check that out on YouTube. Check us out. Subscribe, like, and comment below on YouTube.
Or else we'll keep talking.
I'll close it out with my number one is Trevor Bauer. I think this is where I started my list. It was very easy. Again, pre the sexual assault or domestic violence situation.
Allegedly.
Right, and I think the girl might have dropped the charges or whatever happened there. I'm not getting into the legal stuff. Pre that, he'd still be on this list. He wouldn't be as high, but I think with that, and who knows, again, if it was an accusation, but there also seemed to be like him going, no, it was consensual. Some of the stuff that came out, not great. He, again, very problematic on Twitter for years. Great player. Not coachable. With Tito throwing it, from the pitcher's mound to the center field, like I said, great player, got a great arm. He's a Cy Young winner. But just everything kind of considered with his attitude towards other players. Dodgers fans, my attitude with kind of Cano and being the market he's in with New York. Now Trevor is in the LA market. Because there wasn't a guilty verdict, and who knows what baseball's going to, do with Trevor. LA might be on the hook for his contract if they don't want to play him. They might still have to pay him. And that would consistently eat at $30-some million a year for the considerable future. So if they never get that contract voided, Dad,
I was just about to say that if he gets suspended by MLB, I think they're off the hook.
Right, but if he doesn't.
I know.
Because he's going to appeal it,
Correct.
obviously.
You're right.
So the Dodgers are still going to pay him to sit. To do nothing. He was still paid, I believe, during his suspension last season.
Had to be.
Because
found guilty.
Still under investigation. So, it's just a waste of money. So Dodgers fans really must dislike him. I know he is a good player. And again, I don't know what he did was consensual or not consensual. And we'll probably never know. But it's not worth it. I think if he gets his contract voided, you'll see 29 teams pass on him. Which, again, it's a wasted talent, but with his attitude, his Twitter issues, his personal issues, he is the biggest headache in baseball. I'd rather, on this list, there's probably only Bryce Harper I want on my team, but Trevor Bauer is the one person I would stay away from because, let's say, Miami Marlins signed Trevor Bauer because he got released. A shitstorm is coming for the Marlins. It would be... You would have to hire 5 public relations guys or people
and security
to just make sure that works, because there's a lot of people in this world, not just baseball, that hate this man. So there's a lot of dislike on my list. I think there's some true fan and player hate, because there's some stuff when this allegations came out that players were like, I never want to play with this guy.
Yeah, current teammates.
There's some people that like on this list like, oh, I don't like Kevin Kiermaier, but I'll play with him. There are some people that are in baseball that do not want to play with Trevor Bauer, and he only plays every five days. So I'll stop riffing at that point. Let us know your thoughts below if we missed anyone. We kind of covered probably 15, 16 people.
Well said about Trevor, by the way. Well said.
Thank you. 15 to 16 people overall. We had a lot of similarities. We even had the same Josh Donaldson number. But yeah, let us know how we did, who we forget, who we snub, who we had too much personal thoughts in. Dad, what do you got? Yeah.
If we were going to do managers that we
Oh yeah, managers. Have hit your manager, Dad.
Tony Larussa, top of the list, multiple DWI. Both times he tried to use his influence to get out of being arrested by the police officer. And I think the second time he said, "Do you know who I am?" Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "Oh, that really makes you angry. Above the law." And I think MLB tried to cover that up. The White Sox definitely tried to cover it up. But here he is. I think he has a problem, and I think throughout his career, him and Dusty Baker used to go at it. So there's been a lot of animosity towards Larussa, and managers being despised. He's got to be number one.
I didn't have a manager, but I completely agree with that assessment, Dad. Yes, I don't like him either. But again, let's close it out. Give us a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got plenty of videos cooking for 2022. Even if baseball's not here, we did plenty of podcasts during the 2020 season that didn't really happen until halfway through. So we'll always have plenty of new content added. On social media, Twitter and Instagram, we're at Pastime Podcast _. And then on Facebook, we're just the Father and Son Pastime Podcast.
Or you've had an idea you want us to discuss, send in an idea, and then we love to do new topics. Right now, Patrick's a genius behind these topics, so that's always great. But if anyone at home would like to send us a topic, we'll be glad to talk about it.
Yeah, give us some suggestions, ideas. We haven't done a lot of the trivia / stories in a while, so we can jump back into that. We love drafts, and we like to do rankings too. So really anything that kind of fits in that mold, let us know, and we can kind of run with it. I mean, we did colors, right? Then we do baseball player with colors. So we're silly sometimes too. And then this will probably be uploaded right either before or right at the Hall of Fame vote. So enjoy that on Tuesday, January 25th.
Great. This is a great podcast. Good for you. Good research. Well done. So at home, again, give us some ideas and we'll run with them.
Thanks for watching, everybody.